Hi, and welcome to the Ask Dr. Angela show with everyone's favorite OBGYN, Dr. Angela Jones. Have you ever been just too embarrassed or shy to ask your own doctor a question about your, private stuff? Well, you have come to the right place to get straight answers. Feel free to ask Dr. Angela anything women's health related. OBGYN, she keeps it real. Pregnancy, she knows what you're expecting. Whole body health, just ask. Dr. Angela has you covered, girl. And now here is Dr. Angela.
Hello, people. This is Dr. Angela, everyone's self-proclaimed favorite OBGYN, and I would like to officially welcome you to episode 27 of the Ask Dr. Angela podcast. I hope that this podcast finds everyone excited, energized, enjoying the fall. I'm post-call. You would never know it because I'm so energized, and I'm super excited because I have my guitar lesson today. And probably going to be working on some new material. Music is just a huge passion of mine. I mean, my tastes are so varied. I think now we're kind of like stuck in the 80s because the 80s was such good music. Right now I'm working on a song by a group called Everything But the Girl. You may be familiar with them, maybe not. But I'm playing the song I Don't Understand, and it's just amazing. I do a lot of songs where I can also provide the vocals because I enjoy singing somewhat as well. Anyway, let's jump right into today's question. I think it's a goodie. It's on hemorrhoids, which are not good. I mean, anyone that's had them knows they're not good. But what you got for us today? Go for it.
Hi, Dr. Angela. I wanted to ask you about hemorrhoids. They seem to crop up out of nowhere now that I'm in my mid-30s and have had 3 kids. And I just want to know, is there something that can be done about them? Thank you.
First of all, thank you so much for submitting this question, specifically about something so sensitive. I mean, who really wants to admit that they have hemorrhoids? So this is what I know about the roids, hemorrhoids, that is. Number one, they're not fun. And again, you are not alone in your stating that you have them. So just what are hemorrhoids? Hemorrhoids are dilated veins that appear in either the rectum or the anus. And any situation that puts increased pressure on these veins, whether it's constipation or straining at the time of bowel movements, or even something as common as, hello, what do I do for a living? Obstetrics and gynecology, obviously, but obstetrics, pregnancy, also with all the fluid overload and volume, puts increased pressure on anal and rectal veins. And so it's also very common in pregnancy. I know that you mentioned that you'd had, I think, a couple of pregnancies preceding hemorrhoids. And certainly these hemorrhoids may or may not be kind of a result or aftermath of your pregnancies. Some common signs and symptoms that can be associated with hemorrhoids are things like bleeding that you notice with bowel movements, maybe some itching or burning in the anus or rectal area. You may have some pain or discomfort, and you might actually feel a lump or a series of lumps and bumps around the area of your anus. Common causes for hemorrhoids are going to be things like constipation, sitting on the toilet for prolonged periods of time, diarrhea, constipation. Again, hello to all my friends with irritable bowel syndrome or IBS. And I mean, again, that's enough to cause you to sit on the toilet for long periods of time. Pregnancy is certainly a huge cause of hemorrhoids. Other things would include something like not getting nearly enough fiber in your diet, certainly not drinking enough water. What do we always tell you? Plenty of water, and make sure that you're eating foods that have a high fiber content. And last but not least, obesity is also a very common cause for hemorrhoids. So what do you do about them? You've got a ton of options to deal with hemorrhoids. Things such as lifestyle modification are huge. That's going to include things like changing your diet, eating foods that have a high fiber content. Another way to get fiber is going to be something like Metamucil. I'm a huge fan of Citracel. I recommend that to my pregnant moms all the time. I find that it helps to keep them very regular. Things like exercise also help to prevent, it helps to prevent constipation. It helps you to lose weight, which I just said to you, obesity is a common cause of constipation. You can do a lot of the over-the-counter stuff, whether it's the witch hazel pads, Tux, Preparation H, all of these things. And this is just for like minor relief, if your hemorrhoids are bothering you that significantly. Then certainly a lot of the over-the-counter things are going to be helpful to you. Preventing yourself from straining at the time of bowel movement. Sometimes a stool softener will also prove to be very helpful. Now, if your hemorrhoids are, to the point where they're causing you significant pain and none of the minor modifications that we've previously mentioned, which really aren't minor, they're actually really huge. But if none of the more conservative measures like diet, exercise, over-the-counter remedies, which also would include something for pain, like any of the non-steroidals, if none of those things are helping, then you might want to consider seeing someone that does GI or deals with the colon and the rectum. Certainly there are many different procedures that they do, and I certainly can't speak to those because I'm an OBGYN, so it's a bit outside the realm of my specialty. But I think that they involve things like hemorrhoid removal, band ligation. I think that I may have even read something about laser treatment of hemorrhoids, but again, don't quote me on that because, again, that's a bit outside of the realm of my expertise. But the one thing that I do know about hemorrhoids is that you do want to try to manage them conservatively because from what I've heard, having them surgically removed, the recovery from that is no, and I'm going to say that again, no fun. But anyway, I do hope that I have adequately answered your question. And for submitting your question, I am going to send you one of our bomb-ass t-shirts. Someone from my team will be reaching out to you and gathering your information. And even though you didn't state your name, that's okay. One of my members of the team, they were like, Dr. Angela, hello. Some of these questions are so personal. Who wants to say their name and where they're from? And I was like, duh, you're absolutely right. Some people don't want to give that information. However, when you do leave the question on the SpeakPipe app, it does ask for an email. So I do know who you are, and I certainly would never mention that if you did not yourself state your name when you left the question. But we'll still reach out to you, and we'll get your information so that we can send you one of our bomb-ass t-shirts. And for those of you who would like to have a question featured on the Ask Dr. Angela podcast, please do so by going to www.askdrangela.com. Click on the microphone, and then just do what you do. In closing, I would like to leave you with this. Your life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change. Be the change you want, people. Cannot wait to reconnect on episode 28. But until then, look better, feel better, be better.
Thank you for listening to the Ask Dr. Angela podcast. For more information on women's health and the show notes for this episode, please visit Dr. Angela at www.askdrangela.com. While you're there, don't forget to leave your own message for Dr. Angela. See you soon! All of the information provided and discussed in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and should not take the place of consulting a physician. This podcast is not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any diseases or illnesses and does not and should not replace treatment for a medical professional. Listening to and participating in this podcast does not create a doctor-patient relationship between you and Dr. Angela Jones. If you need medical advice or assistance, you should consult a physician. Listening to and participating in this podcast is subject to the terms and conditions posted at drangela.com/terms.